Welcome into the Superdome as we are joining you live on NewOrleans.Football for our pregame question and answer show presented by Matt Bowers Auto Group. I'm Brooke Kirchhoffer. He's Nick Underhill. We are going to stay on this live public YouTube channel for about 10 minutes, taking your questions, and then we will head over to the members-only version of this show, giving you all of the question and answers. And Nick, you have a promo code for the people that are on the public channel that do not have a members only right now.
Yeah, just use the code NOF, NewOrleans.Football /subscribe. You can get the rest of the show, all of our news, analysis. There's an extra podcast every week. So if you aren't signed up, get signed up. 20% off your first payment.
All right, let's get into this matchup. The Saints are 4-4. The Chicago Bears have really struggled to start this year. A lot of that has to do with their starting quarterback going down with injury. The Saints are 2-6 heading into Week 9. They lost to the Chargers last week in LA, 30-13. Meanwhile, the Saints finally get the offensive production that we have been waiting to see, over 500 yards of total offense. But this is the same question we asked last time after that Patriots win. Can the Saints now continue to show some consistency with the offensive success now after they did last week?
Well, they need to. I mean, these are the type of games that they got to be able to dominate if they want to be a playoff team. And everything sets up for them, I think, this week to be able to take advantage of this. There's a ton of players missing from the Bears. I think the offense should be able to go out and get going. They don't have to be perfect through this game because I don't think Chicago's going to put that kind of pressure on them with their offensive output. So they can go in. They can kind of figure things out a little bit, and the degree of difficulty is a little bit lower. So they need to take advantage of this last week, this week, the week after against Minnesota. They're going to be down some players. If they want to become a good playoff team, this is the opportunity they can take advantage of to get rolling. How do you feel about them coming into this?
I think they have a really good opportunity to have some success against a Bears team who has a ton of starters out. Let's go ahead and get to that before the inactives list come out. For the Saints, Ty Summers is the only guy that was ruled out after Friday's practice. He is out with a concussion/hamstring injury. But for the Bears, their starting right guard, Nate Davis, is out, which is huge when you have this young quarterback, Tyson Bagent, who is in there still trying to figure things out. They also have a starting safety down in Jaquan Brisker. Tremaine Edmonds, who is the starting linebacker, is out. And then they have kind of a backup cornerback who is also listed as out. So to me, this is a really good opportunity for this Saints offense to kind of exploit those areas of the field.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, everything's set up for them to be able to dominate this game. I mean, it should be a double-digit victory. If it's not, I think you kind of got some problems. This is a game where you need to be able to roll. And we saw them start to bring it together last week. Starting to get it together again this week would be such a huge thing. So take advantage of everything that's set up there. It's like the injury guys are like trying to even out the last few years. The Saints were the team that were banged up every week. Like, there's really no serious injuries right now outside of Peyton Turner being on IR. So there are no excuses in this game at all for them, so they need to go out and take advantage.
There's no injuries, but what is the deal with this illness? They cannot get rid of it. Malcolm Roach is questionable to play. He did not practice Thursday. He did practice Friday, but he was limited. And then Kendre Miller did not practice all week. He was, he didn't practice Friday, dealing with that illness, and it's still something that was affecting Michael Thomas this week. Do you think Michael Thomas will be back to his full self after honestly losing a whole lot of weight from that illness? Can he come back to himself?
Yeah, Mike will be good. He told me on Wednesday that they just held him back because of what you just said.
He
lost a little bit of weight during it. They wanted to be smart with him, make sure that he was good to go and everything was back to normal. So I think he'll be fine. You know, as far as Roach and Kendre, they just need to quadruple up on the Imodium. I don't know what you got to do, but whatever you got to do to be out there to play, you got to be out there to play. Especially Kendre Miller. He can't miss another game. His season has been so start and stop. They need to be able to figure this out. I think everybody's going to probably be all right going into this. I guess Lynn Bowden the players were kind of I think Lynn got hit with it harder than anybody else on the team, but he's good to go now, so I think everybody's going to be all right and be ready to play.
The Saints did get some good news this week. James Hurst is back, so what do you expect the left side of the offensive line to look like today?
Well, if it's me, I'm taking advantage of the opportunity I have to see if it's better with Pete at left tackle and Hurst at left guard. And then if it's not, you can flip it next week back to the way it was last year. But I think Pete's kind of played okay there. He was rough against Jacksonville, allowed 10 pressures last week. It was just one. So I would leave him there and kind of see how it looks and how it works. they got to figure out the communication and everything on that side. Like, it'll be a little bit reversed, but they do have the relationship. They know how to talk to each other. I think you can be okay there. I like Pete a little bit better with having more space. I think Hurst is a little bit better in the condensed area. I don't think it's the ideal grouping of players at all, but this is kind of what you got. So I think you go into it, you try to find out if you got something better with Pete at left tackle, take advantage of the opportunity, and then adjust from there.
You said that they would switch next week. Is this not something that they can switch in game? How challenging would that be, or maybe not be?
Well, I don't know if they will switch next week. I would wait to see if I would make the switch. Like, I would just leave Pete there because you got the opportunity to evaluate it now. You know what it looks like the other way. In the other way, we saw all last year, and it was mediocre. It wasn't good enough. So maybe you get something a little bit better with this configuration, and you go from there. In game, I think they probably could switch back if they had to. I don't think you probably would, but it's something that I think they could probably do. Pete's played enough there. Hurst plays all over the place, so I don't think it would be a huge issue. But I would evaluate it for one more week and then kind of make my decision from there.
And you mentioned that you do like Andres Pete at left tackle. He did not allow a pressure last week at that position after allowing 10 versus Jacksonville. So maybe this is a guy who kind of went through a rough patch in training camp and has maybe found himself again.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know if I like him.
You got to put games together.
Yeah, I don't know if I like him at left tackle. He just might be the best left tackle they have on the team right now. But if that's how it ends at the end of the season and you don't feel good enough about Penning at that point, I think it's a position that's a massive need going into the offseason. And they got some big ones. Like, you need a pass rusher and potentially a left tackle. Hopefully left tackle takes care of itself. Hopefully Penning figures things out, and that isn't a need. But this is kind of like an evaluation now and for the future.
And you hope a guy like Demario Davis is okay. This is a guy who has kind of been dealing with a knee injury from week 7. He was limited all week in practice. He was not given a game designation, which means that he will be a full go. But the Saints did make a move on this weekend. Saints elevated newly signed linebacker Corey Littleton from the practice squad to the active roster. Does that have anything to do with maybe a concern with Demario Davis and that knee injury?
I think it's probably more to do with Ty Summers having his situation, and you got to bring someone up to kind of have the special teams players and all that stuff. It could be a little bit of depth. Look, the only time we saw Jalen Smith up was when Demario was on the injury report. So you do need that layer of protection probably.
Yeah.
I don't think that I'm worried about Demario going into this game, but if something happens, you have to be practical and be ready to fill in for it. So if Ty Summers is down, you do need another guy up.
Oh, we just lost lights in here, but you guys can still hear us, which is the most important thing. All right. The Bears' rushing attack is something that they have done very well. They're 6th in the NFL, 132.8 rushing yards per game, but they have the 4th most sacks allowed. Their offensive line, 28 so far through this season. Now, look, their running back that's been their go-to guy, Khalil Herbert, he has missed the last 3 games because he is on IR. Dante Foreman has kind of been the bull for them in the run game. This could be an area that the Bears could attack the Saints, who have kind of struggled to stop the run for all 4 quarters.
Yeah, you look like the back of the All Eyes on Me album right now. Tupac wearing the black shirt, just the head blow, and it was so fire. Such a great shot. I'm the pass defense for the Bears right now. Yeah, I mean, look.
No. Like, how is the Bears' run game? I know, guys, it's really loud. They're testing the audio. Nick can't hear me very well. All right, Bears' run game. Like, that could be an area they exploit the Saints defense.
Well, yeah. Look, they gave up some big plays last week, the Saints run defense, but I thought, like, overall they were okay against it, but you can't allow those explosives, and the explosive plays do matter in this. So, yeah, I mean, it's something that I think the Bears probably do need to do a little bit of a test on. But, I mean, I think the Saints are going to hold up decent in the run defense. They were okay outside of those couple big plays. So just eliminate the explosives, be a little more sound, don't have those hiccups, and I think you take care of it. But, look, even if they are a little leaky there, I don't think that Bajent in the pass offense have enough to kind of offset it. So I think it's kind of another week where you can kind of fine-tune things a little bit. And I like the opportunity this month if the offense is scoring points. Like, they can figure everything out and be a fine-tuned machine going into December. There's kind of a nice setup here, but you got to take advantage of it.
All right, heading into the Bears' pass defense, they are the 30th in the NFL. They have really struggled defending the pass. Derek Carr has thrown deep on 14.5% of his pass attempts this season, which is the 3rd highest in the NFL. But the Bears play cover 2 and cover 3. It's hard to throw deep against cover 2, and Chicago has only allowed 9 plays of 15-plus yards this season when in that coverage. How do we need this. I mean, how do you expect Carr to maybe exploit this? Maybe needing to stay a little bit patient in this area of the field.
Well, you got to be smart. I mean, you got to just kind of take what you have. And the last time they played a heavy cover 2 team was Tampa, and it was kind of like they were like stymied a little bit. Everything was a dump off. The question is like, was that more about Carr's shoulder, or was it just like he just couldn't find anywhere to go with the ball? It was probably a little bit of both. But I think you got to take what you can get and then just be smart about it. Be patient. Wait to set up your shots. He does have the arm to hit those holes. He does have the burners to hit those holes. So, like, if they could take their shots down the field, but you just got to be smart about it, be measured, make sure you're reading the defense right. You know, it'll probably be a little bit of disguise with the things the Bears are doing. They'll show a 2 shift into single high. So, like, you got to just make sure that you're taking your shots at the right times. I think they'll be there. I think they should be able to move the ball. The Bears' pass defense isn't great, so I just think you got to be patient and not try to force anything.
Their run defense is really good though. They are top 3 in the NFL, only allowing an average of 78 rushing yards. We'll see if Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams can maybe exploit that and maybe force the Bears into a tough position where they are going to have to defend the run well in this game. All right, let's get to some of the questions in the live chat. Do Chris Olave and Derek Carr get on pace today?
They need to see Chris Olave get on pace. I mean, look, I think nothing is more important besides winning, of course. Like, you got to win the game, but I think within that, you need to see Olave kind of just settle back into everything and look like himself. I don't think anything's really more important than that right now, because that is like the foundation of the offense. You need him to be himself in that little bit of slump that he was in. It's something he needs to get on the other side of. I think Chris is mentally too. Like, I think it's important for him just not to stay stuck in that right now. So I think yes. I think if I had to predict, I would say yes. I think he does bounce back. We heard from him this week. I like what he said. He seemed to have the right mentality. He's acknowledging that he's in a slump, which is the first step in figuring out what's been going on. Yeah, no doubt. I think it's really important, and I think that's like the biggest thing coming into this game today. Humbling himself and talking to you guys in the locker room this week, I think, was really big for Chris Olave to kind of get ahead of things. All right, next question from the live chat. Any news on the Saints showing their hand when Lynn Bowden is on the field? It seems like everyone is picking up the run call correlation. This is something you broke down. I mean, it's such a dumb thing to be criticizing this week, though. Like, watch the film. Like, he had the key block on Alvin's touchdown. He had the key block on a Jamal Williams run. He had the route that opened up Mike Thomas's 31-yard reception. He ran 8 routes in this game. Like, it was an even split. Like, the big tell was when Kirkwood and Bowden were on the field together. That was a huge tell. Kirkwood was inactive last week. Bowden was on there. He was running routes. You got to get him the ball a couple times. But, like, the thing is like, some dude talking trash and then him going out and executing and then making explosive plays over and over, 3 of them in the game. It kind of seems like a weird thing to kind of get worked up about, because the factual evidence from this game is that this is not the time to talk about it. No one has been more critical of that tell than me, but this is not the week to talk about it. Like, yeah, you got a clip. A guy was talking trash. He figured it out. They still couldn't do anything about it. So it doesn't seem like this is the time to be up in arms about it. The time to be up in arms about it was 2 weeks ago, and then they made a shift. So, like, I think you just got to go out and throw him a pass or something. But, like, it wasn't even an issue last week. It was an effective personnel grouping. Is this a Taysom Hill and Kamara game or Chris Olave day? Hopefully it's all of them, all of the above. Yeah. Look, I mean, the thing is that I don't think every week they're going to be able to run in the red zone. I think they're probably going to try again. Someone's going to stop it at some point. You just mentioned the Bears have had a decent amount of success against the run this year. So if that isn't working, you need your receivers to be working. So I think you need all of the above to be going to be the Saints that you want to be. We'll go through a couple more questions on the live chat before we go over to the members-only private link. So throw in your questions. We'll get to a few more. Everybody's been asking about the Taysom Hill tush push. Should they continue to use Taysom Hill in the red area and on third down? Yeah, I mean, you got to try. I think that's something you got to keep doing until they stop it. And that should kind of be the identity of your team. But again, like, I don't think you're going to be able to run the ball every single week in the red zone as effectively as they did last week. So at some point, Carr has to throw the ball. You got to score touchdowns through the air. It can't just all be on the ground game. So it's something that they got to figure out at some point. So we'll see on that. Look, my big prediction this week is I think maybe we see a Colin Saunders pass like they throw to him. Like, I think they're going to try to do something off of that at some point, and I want to see it. So that's like, if you want my wild prediction, that's my one for this week. All right, Jamal Williams is feeling it in pregame, right behind Jonathan Abram, who is right there. A lot of people have been asking about Jamal Williams as well. Will he continue to trend upwards? I need to know what he's listening to.
Throw it in the chat. What do you guys think he's listening to right now?
Yeah, that looks like a Rod Wave shuffle right there. He had like the tears going down for a second. I don't know. Maybe he's feeling too good though. I don't know.
All right. One thing that's really surprised me about this Saints defense, they've only forced 2 fumbles, which is tied for last in the NFL. Could they get to this young quarterback in this game?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so.
I mean, they're still a top 5 defense, but that is a very, very glaring stat.
The pass rush overall, I think, has been pretty. 15 sacks isn't very many. I mean, like, they're getting pressure, but and Brian Brzee had a pressure last week that forced an interception. So they're getting there, but like you got to finish these plays at some point. And 15 sacks, I think, is just way, way, way too low. So, yeah, I mean, if this is to get you down some offensive linemen, you have the opportunity to get it going. Like this could be a game where you could see it a little bit.
All right, next question. How difficult is the offensive system for wide receivers and the quarterback to get on the same page compared to other systems? I've heard it takes a lot of time. True or no?
They have wordy play calls, so I mean, it's a thing. But here's the other thing, though. How many quarterbacks have we seen start games over the last few since 2019? Teddy Bridgewater, Taysom Hill, Trevor Siemian, Jameis Winston. I'm missing somebody. Like a lot of guys have started games. This is kind of like the most Andy Dalton. This is kind of like the most trouble we've seen someone kind of come in and take time to get on the same page. But I guess that's fine. Like if they figure it out, it's fine. Like I mentioned this before. Like it took Brady 7 weeks. If you figure it out now, it's fine. It doesn't have to be a thing. We got some dancing over here, too.
Vibing with the music.
Yeah,
They've got a good playlist so far right here. Continue.
Look, it's something that I think is a little difficult, but it shouldn't be this difficult. But if they figure it out, it really doesn't matter because now is the time. If you get it right, you go in, you make the playoffs, you do your thing. Who cares about the first few weeks of this season? But it needs to be trending off of last week.
Agree. All right, last question, and then we are going to be going over to the private link, which you can only access on NewOrleans.Football. So if you guys are on the public link on YouTube, go ahead and go to NewOrleans.Football, pull up that YouTube link, and we will be paying attention to the chat on that private link. Last question. The Saints currently have 2 top 10 all-time franchise receivers on the team. Which one, Michael Thomas or Chris Olave, will have the better season in the end? If we answered this question in week 1, we would have said Chris Olave, but I'm leaning toward Michael Thomas based on what we've seen now through week 8.
I don't know. I don't know which way to go with it. You know, it could be like I think Olave is going to get it clicking. Are either one of them ever going to score touchdowns? Like, let's start there.
They have one apiece.
Yeah, it's crazy right now. Like, they aren't getting the ball in the end zone. That's really has nothing to do with them. I don't know.
It is more to do with Derek Carr and finding chemistry. We're still not seeing Derek Carr hit those slants, which that's Michael Thomas's bread and butter. That has to get under control. And the one Michael Thomas touchdown that was here in the dome, that little toe tap, that's a really, really tough play to make. Maybe throw something easy. Like, at this point, it's one of those things, not throw something easy, but have the offense just not have to force things to score touchdowns. Have a good game plan, execute it, and make sure your quarterback and wide receivers are on the same page.
It's the weirdest thing so far. You're halfway through the season. The slants aren't working, the crossers aren't working, the hitches aren't working. You get all those things going. Like that's where Mike eats. He's the best in the league at those things. Crazy thing about him, he's averaging his highest yards per catch right now, but the lowest amount of targets per route. So throw him the ball more. Just get him the ball more. But look, if I got to pick between one of the two, I mean, I'll go with Mike, I guess. Okay. I mean, like, Olave's already hit, like, a little bit, so I don't know. But I think Chris is going to get clicking. I think he probably has the potential to have better numbers at the end of the season, just given the nature of his position and the way Carr likes to attack the field. But, like, you got to do more to get Mike going, too. So I think both of them still have a lot of on-top potential. But the crazy thing is they're both on pace to have really good seasons right now.
All right, thank you guys so much for joining us on the beginning portion of the public live pregame question and answer show presented by Matt Bowers Auto Group. We are now going to close this YouTube link and head over to the private members only. So join us there, and for the members only that have continued to be listening from the beginning.